Well, hello everybody. My name is Roy Cohen, and I'll be hosting this week's edition of the Community Forum Show. It's a show I've been looking forward to doing for quite a while with our special guest back again for another hour of telling you where to go and when to go and how to go. Mary Maguire. She is the Mass spokesperson for the AAA Northeast region here in Massachusetts. And a busy lady. I think she came in here, she was panting because she had just finished 41 different interviews with different media talking about gas prices. And I think that we'll start off for a few minutes and talk about gas prices, and then we're going to get into something very pictorial for you. Welcome to the show, Mary.
Well, thank you so much for having me back. I love your new open. It looks great.
It's great because of the people that are in it. I get a kick out of watching it myself, to be honest with you, and especially you with that nice outfit, and Dave Young getting his head cut off or his hair cut off or whatever it was.
And there. Gina behind the scenes.
And Gina behind
Leo,
the scenes. She's got the best smile in the world with that introduction. We love it. They did a nice job putting it together. Let's talk about gas prices. It seems that we have you on at a very timely time of the year with the hurricane. We have, what, 3 of them kicking around now down south? And there's prices are spiking from Hurricane Harvey, I think, and why do they do that? I'm trying to figure that out. I mean, it's like the hurricane hit one day, the next day there's a spike. I mean, do we just have a day's supply in stock, or are they just taking advantage of the situation and sticking it to the public?
No, in fact, the impact was actually fairly gradual, because what happened, first of all, is that, as we know, Hurricane Harvey was a really historic storm. Almost 52 inches of rain, which was unprecedented. So we really had tremendous flooding, and that impacted not only all of those poor residents of South Texas, East Texas, to whom our hearts go out, but also there was an impact on the refineries in the region.
They shut them down.
Well, exactly. So that, remember, is the energy hub of the U.S., the Gulf region. Right. And so we had more than a dozen refineries that were offline, shut down because of flooding, because of potential damage from Hurricane Harvey. And in addition to that, we had a partial shutdown of the Colonial Pipeline, which is the nation's major fuel transporter and transports a lot of fuel to the East Coast. And so that combination, that actually I call it a triple whammy of the shutdown of refineries, the partial shutdown of the Colonial Pipeline, coupled with increased demand from travelers tanking up their cars for travel during Labor Day weekend, bringing their kids back to school. Those 3 factors really combined to push up prices in our area. So actually, we are up, according to our AAA survey that we did earlier this week, about 45 cents in Massachusetts right now as a result of those factors stemming from Hurricane Harvey.
That's unbelievable.
It is. It's really had an incredible impact at the pump. We were at 224, 226. Now we're at 270, 273 in that range for regular unleaded average prices in Massachusetts.
I still don't understand why the need to raise the prices, because there's a need for the product.
Well, because what happens is when something's when supply is impacted, demand increases generally, and so when there's increased demand, because of all the reasons we talked about, that pushes up prices. When there are concerns about supply, and we've seen supply issues in Texas and the southern states, that also pushes up prices. And when retailers are paying more for gasoline at wholesale because the product is more difficult to produce and transport because of what was going on with the refineries and the pipeline, that pushes up prices as well. I mean, actually, the range in prices has stayed relatively the same at about 36 cents, in fact, this week. We're looking at a low end of the range, according to our most recent AAA survey, of 253, and the high end 289. Mm-hmm. So actually, through most of the summer, we've experienced a range of 32, 34, 36 cents. So that range is right within the typical 30-plus cent span. So that actually encourages encourages me to think that retailers are pretty much keeping their prices proportionally where they usually are. There's no doubt that there are always a few bad apples who will take advantage of the situation. We've seen that not just with gasoline, but with water.
Yes.
High prices for bottled water and other water supplies. So, absolutely a few bad apples, but for the most part, retailers seem to have held their prices. Just as recently as a couple of days ago, I saw prices in the 250s. Those quickly reached up into the 260s, though, and now we're seeing lots of 270s as well.
On the news this morning, they even showed a gas station out in the West Coast that was $7 a gallon.
Yeah, and so obviously
That's
when
ridiculous.
we see something like that, we know that it's price gouging, and it's really unfortunate that when people are suffering, that there are those few individuals out there who will take advantage of the situation. But for the most part, I think we're seeing somewhat of a leveling off now of prices, and hopefully those prices, now that we've gotten over the hurdle of Labor Day travel, will start to come back down, especially as the refineries come back online, the Colonial Pipeline starts pumping again at full capacity. I think the wild card that we've got right now, though, is, of course, Hurricane Irma, which is bearing down on Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas, and now is expected to perhaps reach the east coast of Florida by Sunday morning. So that's the other wild card that could impact supply to the east coast. So it remains to be seen what happens with Irma, obviously. And we always talk about the fact that hurricanes are the big wild cards that can push up gasoline prices by impacting supply and production and refinery production. So we're seeing that played out right now.
Right. I feel very bad for the people in the islands like St. Martin and some of the other places. They're without electricity. And when you don't have electricity, you don't have water, you don't have air conditioning, and it's hot down there.
Oh, you're so right. And yeah, apparently a lot of damage to St. Martin and to Barbuda.
Again.
So a lot of loss.
Yeah, St. Martin went through that about 20 years ago. The island was wiped out from a hurricane.
Yeah, I remember that. Was that Hurricane Andrew?
I don't remember
That was about
the name,
25
but I was
years
doing
ago.
business down in that area, and I had just set up in St. Martin, and whatever I had started fizzled because the island was no longer in existence for business.
What a shame. And you lived in Aruba for a while, right?
Yeah.
And so did you ever experience a hurricane on Aruba? Or?
That's normally out of the hurricane belt. There was one hurricane, Teddy, I think it was called. It went northeast of Aruba, northwest of Aruba, and it was about 150 miles away, and it did impact the island. It turned the wind around. So instead of the wind coming out of the west going east, it was coming to the west, and it wiped out all the vegetation that they had just planted in some of the hotels. All that salt air came in. It was unbelievable, and it didn't even hit the island. The only other time I knew of when it went south of Aruba, hit Caracas, Venezuela, and I think 30,000 people got killed in the mudslides over there, never to be seen again. But Aruba is pretty much out of the hurricane, but they don't usually get them.
Well, I think the upside, the silver lining, if there is one, to what we've seen in Texas and now what's being experienced in the islands is that people seem to really come together to help each other out during an extreme weather situation. And AAA were contributing to a fund for the victims of Hurricane Harvey. You saw Channel 5 in Boston raised more than $500,000 for hurricane survivors. So, and of course all the good work that the Salvation Army and the Red Cross and volunteers are doing is fantastic. So hopefully Irma will steer off course and perhaps not hit Florida as hard as expected.
Okay, let's talk about something pleasant.
Fun stuff.
When we've had you on in the past, we've talked about different things to do, places to go, but we only had them in slide form, just to show the picture of what it looked like. Today we're really going to show our skills, and thanks to Mike Hammond, Jeff Pickett, and Dave Young, and whoever else had their fingers in this. We have videos.
Fantastic. Thank you all. That's great.
So some of which you're going to talk over, and some of which we're just going to listen to.
Okay.
So we have the first one that you want to talk about.
Yeah, so Roger Williams Park Zoo is first on our list. Now, we're talking about zoos and parks today, which is fun.
Zoos and aquariums.
Zoos, parks, and aquariums, that's right. Okay, so Roger Williams Park Zoo is a fantastic Zoo and attraction that is in Providence, Rhode Island, near the Cranston border. And this is a place that I used to take my kids when they were growing up. Lots of wonderful animals there. It's on about 40 acres of land. And one of the wonderful things about going to Roger Williams Park Zoo is that you also have Roger Williams Park right there.
Right.
So the park is fantastic. There's a beautiful pond there. You can go on a paddle boat. There's Templeton Music is there. There are a lot of historic buildings. The Roger Williams Park Casino is there. And also from October 5th to November 5th of this year, the Roger Williams Park Zoo is once again hosting the Jack-o'-lantern Spectacular.
Yes.
So this is, you know, if this is not on your bucket list, if you haven't already seen it, it should be on your bucket list because it's really something to see. And apparently this year the theme is going to be travel through time. So they're going to start with the dinosaurs and go all the way through the Ice Age to ancient Rome and Greece. So this is really a must-see if you haven't seen the Jack-o'-lantern Spectacular. And we apparently have a video that gives us a closer look at the Roger Williams Park Zoo. Before we get into that, I have to tell you, as old as I am, I have two memories of Roger Williams Park because I grew up in Providence. One was Alice the elephant. That's right.
I think when I was doing the research for the show, they have an elephant there, and its name is Alice. I'm sure it's not the same one. And the other thing was the little train that they have running around on its own track. I remember just being able to fit in one of the cars, but going on a ride.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was just so exciting. That's why I remember it. Let's go do the video and see what's going on with that.
71% of Rhode Island voters approved the $15 million bond improvements for Roger Williams Park Zoo last fall. And the Board of Trustees was already working on the 20-year, 3-phase master plan. Ground will be broken next spring on the first project of Phase 1, a $10 million Amazon rainforest exhibit, with completion expected spring 2017.
And a lot of free-flying birds, primates, small cats, a lot of neat animals that you won't see anywhere else. We're really hoping to display some of these really incredibly dynamic species.
Also in Phase 1, a new, twice-as-large education center and a reptile exhibit.
Large Komodo dragons and species from around the world.
In all, totaling $25 million per phase.
We really envision that between private donations, foundations, corporate sponsorship, and just general public support, as well as increased attendance and revenues that are generated from that, that we were confident we'll be able to do this.
Right now, annual attendance here at Roger Williams Park Zoo is about 650,000 people. The target at the end of Phase 1, 1 million people a year.
The more the better here. Everyone comes to Rhode Island, they think of Roger Williams Zoo, so let's just make it bigger and better.
All of Phase 1 will be finished in 2022, just in time for the 150th anniversary of this, one of the oldest zoos in the U.S. Phases 2 and 3 over the ensuing 14 years include a new grand welcoming entrance, expanded parking, tigers, and grizzlies. The zoo is aware of growing concern over keeping animals in captivity.
Our animals come from other zoos. They're bred specifically in captivity. We take great care of them. We're trying to get people up close to the animals so that they can really appreciate them, see them up close, and once they do that, then hopefully they start caring.
This zoo is not only a draw locally, but around the world too. Another piece of the tourism puzzle, generating more revenue while enlightening generations to come.
An Amazon rainforest. Yeah, it'd be really cool.
R.J. Heim, NBC 10 News.
A great story for sure. Why don't we take a ride across the state line, talk about the Franklin Park Zoo?
Sure, yeah, because we've been in Rhode Island, so we'll go to Massachusetts. And by the way, I used to work with R.J. Heim. He was a reporter at WJR, or still is, in Providence, where I worked for 13 years. And I just saw R.J. last week, so he did a great job on that report and on that story. And it's great to see that since it is one of the oldest zoos in the country, that it's got this whole expansion plan underway, and love looking at the pictures of the kids. So yeah, so moving to the Franklin Park Zoo, which is in Boston. This is a 72-acre zoo operated by Zoo New England, which also operates the Stone Zoo in Stoneham, which we're also going to talk about. And, you know, Franklin Park is a great place to go because, again, not only do you have the Franklin Park Zoo and all of these little critters that you can see here, the turtle, as well as a whole variety of big cats, gorillas, alligators, birds, etc. At the zoo, you see a couple of those birds there. But you've also got a lot of attractions close by that are really fun. You see some, I think that's a big cat there, looks like a leopard or something. Yeah, absolutely. So you've got not just the zoo, which has all these terrific animals like that leopard you see there. You've got the Arnold Arboretum, basically in the same neighborhood, which is operated by Harvard University, and which is just a terrific place. You see some more of the big cats there, looking pretty comfortable out there in the tall grass. You know, you can visit the Franklin Park Zoo and take in the animals, and you can also go down the street and go to the Arnold Arboretum, which features a whole plethora of all sorts of wonderful trees, shrubs, flowers. And you know, when you're at the Franklin Park Zoo, you're also very close to downtown Boston. You're close to Fenway Park. You know, so you can really make a day of it. Oh, we all remember doing that as kids, right, Roy? You get the penny,
still do it.
the flat penny, which is pretty cool. So it looks like a kangaroo.
What
there.
I find amazing is that I'm a big fan of the what's that? My mind is going blank. Of these
tarantula
science shows that on TV, and these animals don't have any worries. They're not being chased or eaten by the predators that normally come after them. It's just it looks like a great place to end their life.
Yeah, well, you know what? You know, we saw those great pictures at the end of R.J. Heim's story about Roger Williams Park, the great pictures of the kids, and here we have a teenage girl, it looks like, who's enjoying the zoo here in this video. I think one of the great things about zoos and parks and aquariums is that it allows people like this man we just saw to get up close and personal with the animals.
Right.
Because you can really see them up close. You develop more of an appreciation, I think, for animals and living things. It's a way to get close to nature. As we can see here, a time to get away from your devices and really enjoy, you know, the antics of these animals, these critters, to you know, see how they interact with each other. It's always great to watch the apes and the gorillas and look, you know, they're so human in so many ways and so many of their mannerisms,
as long as they don't escape.
That's right. We don't want that tarantula we saw a couple minutes ago to escape. You know, but so it's a great learning experience, I think, for people of all ages. And again, we all spend a lot of time indoors these days in front of our computers. It's a great way to get outside and really enjoy animal life and to learn, you know, to learn about, you know, these primates that we're seeing here, to learn about reptiles, to learn about elephants, giraffes, you know, and to really connect with your family too, I think, and with your loved ones. I mean, it's just a great family experience, and I think that's one of the terrific things. One of the interesting things about these zoos too, Roy, is that, you know, it's not just about the animals. It's about all of the activities that these zoos offer during the course of the year. We talked about the Jack-o'-lantern Spectacular, for example, at Roger Williams Park Zoo. Well, if you go on their websites, which I did in preparation for this show, there are a host of all sorts of creative activities that take place at these zoos during the course of the year. So I think it's really worth going on their websites to see what kind of upcoming events they have. We also have another great zoo, the Stone Zoo in Stoneham, Mass, which is operated by Zoo New England, the same organization that operates Franklin Park Zoo, which we just looked at. And I think we have a closer look at the Stone Zoo coming up on video.
There it is.
We have two snow leopards here at Stone Zoo, a male and a female. The male is named Harry. And we have Kira Victoria. They came from two different zoos to the Stone Zoo to breed.
Zoo New England has been a long-time participant in the Species Survival Plan for Snow Leopard, also called an SSP. And its basic goal is to maintain genetic diversity in the species that are in the program.
Snow leopards are listed as endangered. There's an estimated 4,000 to 6,500 individuals left in the wild. They have taken to predating upon livestock, which is one of the reasons why they're endangered, is ranchers and farmers there like to protect their livestock, obviously, and that involves killing snow leopards. They also are poached for their coats.
Zoo New England has been a long-time supporter of the Snow Leopard Trust. Snow Leopard Trust is one of the oldest and largest organizations devoted to conserving snow leopards in their native habitat.
They have a very local-based structure where scientists, conservationists, and the local people are all helping to save the snow leopard.
Having snow leopards here at Stoughton Zoo is a unique experience for us. These animals are extremely elusive. People that have been studying them for years in the wild rarely see them. And so I think it's great for the guests that come here to see an animal like this.
Harry and Kira are ambassadors of their species because the average person in Massachusetts might never see a snow leopard. For people to be able to come here and connect with these two, they're able to connect to the world.
That's quite interesting. The animals are absolutely beautiful, and I guess when they talk about poaching them for their coats, that's really not an in thing to do anymore. There's less people wearing fur coats.
Yeah, that's true. I love what he just said, though, about the fact that there are a lot of people in Massachusetts and across the country who, if they didn't go to the zoo, they'd never see a snow leopard in the course of their lives. And such terrific pictures of the snow leopards there. You know, I think that's part of what a zoo does and why zoos are so important, because they bring to us, who would never be able to see a big cat, if we weren't going on safari in Africa or something like that. You know, they bring all of these wonderful animals to us. And I have to say, I'm impressed looking at the videos that you've put together at the variety and the number of different species of animals that we have right here in our backyard in Massachusetts, and we might not always think about that.
I know what I was trying to say. I was trying to come up with the National Geographic Channel.
Oh, yeah.
Which I frequently watch just to see Mother Nature in action. But the thing that bothers me a lot is the big fish eating the small fish, the animals that kill other animals and stuff. Here in these zoos, they're protected, and you can get to enjoy them. And I'm sure that they know that some of their relatives, someplace out in the jungles, are getting eaten up alive. But these pictures are beautiful.
Yeah,
the
they
videos,
really are.
They're really nice.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Well, so now we're going to change gears a little bit, and we're going to visit Butterfly Place in Westford, Massachusetts.
Wild animals to butterflies.
That's right. And
I visited a butterfly farm in Aruba. They had one down there. It was covered up with netting all the way around. You went in, you're in and amongst all of the butterflies. It was really very pretty. Yeah,
I've been to one as well down at Epcot Center in Disney. They do an annual flower show, and they have a whole butterfly area, and it's really fun. And in Westford, not only do you have butterflies, but also tropical flowers, birds, koi fish, an indoor garden and walking path, lots of tropical plants mixed in there with the butterflies. So it really is a terrific experience. And I have friends who've been there. And there's also, by the way, a great ice cream place in Westford called Kimball Farm, which is very, very popular. In fact, I looked online and they had a picture of a huge line stretching out the door at Kimball Farm. So you can go to the ice cream place and the butterfly farm the same day. And I think we also have a closer look at Butterfly Place in Westford.
Hi, I'm Sylvia from the Butterfly Place in Westford, Massachusetts. We're an indoor garden filled with hundreds of freely flying butterflies. You have fun and learn something new as you walk among the butterflies, see caterpillars and chrysalids and cocoons, and enjoy the beautiful garden. My father, George, who's now 78, thought of the idea for butterfly hatching kits where you can hatch your own butterfly or moth, observe them, and then release them into nature. He was able to develop this idea for the hatching kits and did well mail order. But then he read in the Smithsonian magazine about butterfly houses in England. And he said, I'd like to do that.
I got the idea for doing this kind of facility from an article in Smithsonian magazine probably about 25 years ago or more. Raising butterflies was a lifetime hobby of mine, and so I got the idea that it would be nice to maybe do one in this country. At the time there were none in this country, they were all in Europe. So we set about doing it, and we ended up being the fourth one to open in the United States. The Butterfly Place was built and opened in September of 1989. This is our 22nd season now. The Butterfly Place area that we're in right now is approximately 3,000 square feet, and it houses a natural butterfly type environment that people can come into and walk through and spend all the time they want. And we have as many as 50 different kinds of butterflies, sometimes even more. Most of the butterflies that we have, we get from a vendor in Colorado that actually imports butterflies from all over the world. So what you see in here might represent almost every continent in the world at any given time.
What we hope is that people will take the experience they have here at the butterfly place and more fully appreciate nature. Our grandparents can share with their grandkids what they love about nature. Kids from the city who come on a school trip who've never seen butterflies and moths get to find out and be fascinated by it. And then there are always our nature buffs that they teach us a lot about raising butterflies and moths. And it's also a very beautiful, unique place for a wedding ceremony or to celebrate a birthday. So we really want you to be able to come and visit us, and we want to give you a chance now to see what we're all about and find out about butterflies and have a great time.
We welcome people, and we hope that they'll come back. Most people that have been here and live anywhere nearby usually do come back a number of times, and we look forward to seeing them.
Quite interesting.
What a great place to take the kids.
Who would think of that? But you
I
go
know.
there, you really get to enjoy it. If you like the colorful aspect of some of those butterflies, it's amazing. Is that facility, do you know if it's outdoors or is it indoors? I mean,
I think it's an indoor walking path, and then there's some outdoor areas as well. But you know, I loved what he said. He said that there are butterflies, I think, from every continent there.
Right.
I mean, who would have thought, again, that in the middle of Massachusetts near the New Hampshire border, you'd have butterflies from
Right.
every continent. And again, what a great way to teach your children more about, you know, the whole process of, you know, the cocoon, the butterfly, et cetera.
Amazing.
So, yeah, really great. So I
Very
think we're
nice.
going to talk now about another zoo, another great
zoo.
attraction, yeah, which is Southwick Zoo in Mendon, Massachusetts. And I've been here a number of times, and apparently it's the largest zoo in New England, apparently. So I didn't realize that. 300 acres, family owned and operated, has been, I guess, since its inception. And it's a zoological park. Has a very good restaurant, well reviewed. I looked at some of the restaurant reviews online. And, you know, I used to go there a lot for birthday parties for my kids. You can do birthday parties there, and they have, again, a whole host of activities that they sponsor. But it's a wonderful place and just a terrific place to walk through, lots of space. And I think we also have an in-depth report on Southwick Zoo.
With 200 acres of naturalistic habitat, Southwick
300.
Zoo is home to 850 exotic animals from around the world. Joining us with two of those animals is Betsy Brewer. She's one of the owners of Southwick Zoo. So nice to have you here, Betsy. I got to visit you at the zoo, and it was amazing.
We had a really good time. It was awesome.
You were an amazing tour guide. That place
thank
is
you.
wonderful, and it was beautiful, so much to see. Tell us about the zoo.
Well, we are on 200 acres. We are not in Southwick, Mass. We are in Mendon, Massachusetts. And Southwick Zoo has been in my family for 50 years now. We're celebrating 50 years. And we have beautiful moated habitats, as well as the largest collection of primates in all of New England, and we are the largest zoo in New England as well.
It was so much fun. I mean, we got to see the monkeys, we got to see the lion up close. One thing I noticed was we got to get really close to these animals.
Well, that's one of the beauties of our zoo, is we want people to get close to the animals. So we've designed it so that when you're walking through, you are up close with the animals, because we really feel that if you can get more of a closer interaction with them, more intimate with them, you're going to care more about the environment and their habitats and their status out in the wild.
And you really care about that for sure, and that's what Earth, your nonprofit, is all about. Let's introduce one of the animals you brought today. This is Rudy.
This is Rudy Roo. Rudy is a giant red kangaroo, although he's not so giant, is he?
No,
he's
so
quite
cute.
small now, and he's very curious about what's going on. These guys, he's a male, so he could reach a height of almost 7 feet. He's going to be a really large kangaroo. The females happen to be much smaller. He's one of our animal ambassadors, and he travels in the Earth Zoomobile program through Southwick Zoo to schools all over Massachusetts and the rest of New England. He's adorable,
so
isn't he?
cute. Oh my gosh. Oh, and he likes your microphone.
He likes the
too.
microphone. He likes to chew on things.
Oh my gosh, Rudy. And look at his little pouch that you have him in. He is so cute.
And this is how we travel with him. He can go right on the back of the chair in the car, or a chair while you're in a meeting, or while you're just traveling with him to schools.
What a nice little buddy. He is so cute. And you have
He's
Rudy,
awesome.
but you also have Dilly here as well.
Yes, and you can see Rudy at Southwick Zoo too. He's always there in the education center.
And now Dilly is an armadillo.
Dilly is a three-banded armadillo, and they have this really unique adaptation of being able to close right into their shell. Now, when you see her walk, and hopefully she will do this, it looks like she's on wheels.
Oh! Oh my gosh, she really does.
These guys are from Paraguay, Argentina, areas of South America. They're awesome, aren't they?
Oh,
She
wow.
has really poor eyesight, so in order to figure out what's going on around her, she smells everything. She, too, can be seen at Southwick Zoo. Isn't she like the coolest?
Well, it's so amazing to think like the way that her shell, how it, you know, kind of comes together, and then how she's able to get into it completely, and even her head is part of her outer shell, the top of her head.
Absolutely, and because her eyesight is so poor, that's why I grab her when she's nearing the ends here. Of course, out in the wild, she would smell her surroundings to figure out where things are and if she's going to fall off of anything or things like that. She is also one of our animal ambassadors through the Earth program at Southwick Zoo.
So cute, Dilly. Hi, nice to meet you. Now, Southwick Zoo is not a far drive from Western Massachusetts. It's an easy drive. Tell us about the experience for families. I mean, there's a lot more than just animals, surprisingly.
Oh, absolutely. We call our place, it's more than a zoo, it's an adventure. So if you come out to Southwick Zoo, you can certainly spend the entire day. We are one of the few zoos that allow you to bring in picnic lunches. So if you want to bring in your own picnic lunch, you're more than welcome to. But we also have eating establishments, some healthy foods, as well as the hot dogs, hamburgers, and that type of thing. A petting zoo, a deer forest, where you can go in and feed the deer, which is probably one of the most popular attractions we have.
I loved that. I mean, you could really get up close and be among the deer, which was really awesome. The train ride, you have kiddie rides for kids.
And we have a Skyfari Sky Ride, too.
Which Betsy and I got to go on together, and as we were going through the zoo on the Skyfari Sky Ride, you can see it from a whole different perspective from up in the air.
Oh, it's awesome. It travels over about 12 exhibits, and including the African plains, where you can see our mixed species exhibit, with ostrich, zebra, water buffalo, and scimitar horned oryx. And then you travel over the cheetahs, the deer forest. You see the chimpanzees as you're coming around the corner, through the elk habitat, ring-tailed lemurs, Watusi cattle, and then the last stop is over an alligator, which is a lot of fun.
That is so much fun. Such an amazing place. Make a day of it with your family. It's absolutely tremendous. And Betsy, one of the things I really like about you is you're all about family, and it's been in your family for 50 years, so congratulations on an anniversary.
Thank you so much.
It's nice to have you visit us here, but I'll be seeing you at the zoo pretty soon. I'm looking forward to it. And to learn even more about Southwick Zoo, visit them online at southwickzoo.com.
Very good. It's nice to see how these animals are well kept, and I didn't know that zoo was the largest one in New England.
Yeah, so many acres there, and congratulations to them on 50 years. And another real institution, speaking of institutions in New England that have been around for a long time, is the New England Aquarium, which from the country to the city, but it's a great place to visit, and I think we have video of the aquarium that we can show people as well. A lot of people worry about driving into Boston, but you can take the T and get to the aquarium. There's an aquarium stop, and here we can see some of the species of fish and the beautiful exhibits there. I've been there a number of times. I'm sure you've been there as well, Roy. And,
absolutely.
You know, again, it's a great way for everybody to look right through the glass and be up close and personal with not only fish, but a whole variety of species. I think we see some penguins there, and I know the penguin exhibit has been extremely popular in recent years. Lots of people, including my son, who love penguins. And so he went to see this exhibit actually last year and absolutely loved it. So there's so much to see, and one of the great things is you can watch the feeding times as we see here, which are scheduled at different times every day that are announced for visitors who want to watch the feeding process. And of course also so many terrific exhibits, but also activities that are taking place every single day at the New England Aquarium. Also, there's an IMAX theater there, which is another big attraction of the aquarium. Piranha we see, so you know, some creatures of the Amazon, etc. I think actually I just saw in the Boston Globe as we watched that lobster that there's a rare yellow lobster at the aquarium right now. So, you know, always something new and different to see at the New England Aquarium, always a popular destination. See the giant turtle there for folks who are coming in from out of town, from across the country, as well as for the regulars from Boston, from Massachusetts, from New England. You see so many of them right there. Who like to come and see the ever-changing exhibits at the New England Aquarium. So jellyfish, you don't want to see them up close and personal out in the water or the ocean necessarily, Portuguese men of war, but they're wonderful to watch in an exhibit like this. I grew up in the Chesapeake Bay area of Maryland. We used to swim with the jellyfish all the time because we had no choice. If you wanted to go swimming in the bay, yeah.
See, I was just noticing during that video they have somebody who actually goes into the water to feed the fish.
Yeah, which is so fascinating.
I was thinking that would be a great job for Dave Young.
Well, and you know what? I'm sure for folks who have studied marine biology, who love animals, who've done a lot of research on animals, it's a fabulous job. I mean, you see, you get in some scuba diving on the job there.
He almost looks like
snorkeling. Dave Young. So what a fun job. I mean, if we were doing profiles of people who have fun jobs, it looks like he just elbowed a fish out of the way there. What a terrific job to have, doing something like that. But, these are research institutions as well as institutions open to the public and just great centers of learning. So switching gears again a bit from a place that's really done some pioneering research on fish and aquatic life to a terrific place in Maine, on the coast of Maine, York's Wild Kingdom, which is in York, Maine, not too far from the famous Nobska Lighthouse up there, which is a gorgeous area, and I think we have some pictures of York's Wild Kingdom as well that we can show you. And this is a terrific park for families. Not only does it feature a whole variety of animals, but also a Ferris wheel, bumper cars, all sorts of amusement park rides. You see the kids there. It looks like they're getting their hand stamped, or they're getting their little security bracelets and headed into the park. There are all sorts of activities at York's Wild Kingdom, and again, this is really a place that's loaded with walking paths. As you see here, you can feed the ducks and the birds, which is always a treat for kids. In fact, right down the road here in Stoughton, in Milton, we've got the Trailside Museum, where the same things set up, the little gumball machine type things that dispense corn or seed, and you can put a dime in and feed the ducks, which is always a treat for young children and for everybody, really. It's just a great way to interact with animals and with birds, etc. So you don't even have to go as far as York, Maine. You can go to the Trailside Museum and feed the ducks there.
Do they have animals there?
They do. They have otters. They have a whole otter pool. They have some sheep, some goats, similar to the ones you see here. They've got ducks, all sorts of birds in there. So the Trailside Museum is really a place that I recommend. I used to take my kids there a lot when they were growing up. And
it's right on 138.
It's right on 138. That's right. And you can also hike up Blue Hill.
Yeah.
Which is a terrific hike, at the same time that you visit the Trailside Museum.
Up to the weather station.
That's right, up to the weather station.
Have you been there?
I've been to the top, so I must have seen the weather station.
They have some instruments in there they still use from the 1800s.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
barometric
interesting.
pressure and stuff. The instruments are basically the same.
Well, I hear the local meteorologists reference Blue Hill and
right.
wind on top of Blue Hill, et cetera.
It's the highest point in this part of Massachusetts.
Yeah, I've actually skied at Blue Hill, which is really fun also. Yeah, and the Trailside Museum is fantastic too. They've got some great animals and pieces of history in there, and information about Blue Hill and the Blue Hills Reservation, etc. So it's a great place to visit. But so this, as you can see, is a really fun park, and the great thing about it is that, you know, this is a wonderful part of coastal Maine. In York, as I said, you've got Nobsca Light right around the corner from York's Wild Kingdom. You can travel up the coast and go to Wells and Ogunquit and Kennebunk. You can see President Bush's house from the road, which is terrific. So, you know, it's really a great part of coastal Maine. And again, you know, these zoos and parks and aquariums are destinations in many ways, but there's also so many interesting attractions around them and near them. And so you really can make a day of it, which I think is really a lot of fun.
I think you ought to set up a tour group.
Yeah, I think so too.
Take people to these different places.
I think I'm a frustrated tour guide. Well, you know, and that's the fun thing about working at AAA is that we do so much when it comes to travel, and actually we have discount tickets to many of these attractions. And so, you know, if you're going to some of these zoos, if you're going to Canopy Lake Park, for example, which is just over the border in Salem, New Hampshire, if you're going to, you know, Six Flags, you know, we have discounted tickets that we sell. So, you know, some of these attractions too are free, which is wonderful. You know, like we're going to take a look at the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute and Aquarium in a couple of minutes, and, you know, that's a free attraction. So, you know, I think that's one of the nice things is that, you know, these are places that are reasonably priced and often are surrounded by other attractions that are fun to see as well. Oh, more butterflies.
Oh, yeah. I think that if Gina has a chance, she can put up your contact information before the next video.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think we'll see my email, and anybody who's watching the show is free to email me. I can send you the list of all of our discounted attractions that we offer at AAA Northeast. And, you know, when you're traveling with the family, it always helps to have a little bit of a discount. I just looked at the numbers for Canopy Lake Park, and I think the normal ticket price is $38, but for AAA members it's $32. So,
that's good.
You know, if you get a family of 5, that's a savings of, you know, $30 off your ticket price, which you can put towards something else, food in the park or something like that. So, lots of fun little critters. This is a place I haven't been, but I have been to York and I have been to the lighthouse. And, you know, this is interesting. You know, we're seeing this slide. I think so many of these zoos and other attractions here, the bumper cars, are adding attractions and are adding a calendar of events throughout the year. Love that ladybug ride. My daughter used to love that at Canopy Lake Park. They've got something similar. But, you know, they're adding attractions. They're adding zip lines. They're adding all sorts of activities so that there's something for everybody, you know, so that it's not just animals. It could be amusement rides, as we're seeing here. It could be an arcade, or it could be a museum that features some of the local history. There's the Ferris wheel that we're seeing there. So, you know, there's really got to be something for everybody. Yeah, and there's my email address. And phone number if anybody wants to call to get more information on these attractions.
She's Mary is the Director of Public and Legislative Affairs at AAA Northeast. You can reach her by calling 401-868-2000, extension 6219, or if you'd rather send her an email, it's mcguire@aaanortheast.com, and AAA.com is the website. There we are.
Terrific. Feel free to call.
I will. I do. 3 times a year.
Yes, you do.
Okay, what's next?
Okay, so I think now we're going to move along to Mystic Aquarium in Connecticut. And I have been to Mystic Aquarium quite a few times. And I think we have an up-close and personal video profile of Mystic Aquarium as well.
There are places all over the world where amazing ecosystems come together, where exotic animals can be seen for the first time, and where the
what I can tell you about Mystic Aquarium is that it's a really fun place to go because they have so much in the way of aquatic life to offer visitors. And the great thing about going to the aquarium is you not only get to see all the aquarium attractions, there's a lot that you can learn from the tour guides like this one in terms of understanding more about what you're seeing. But you've also got Mystic Seaport right there at the aquarium. which means that after you've done some of the show and tell things like this, some of the touch and see kinds of activities there where you can actually touch the fish or some of the local aquatic life. You can also walk over to the Seaport and see the ships there, learn some of the history of Mystic Village. There's great shopping there, there are restaurants, and of course you've got Mystic Pizza of movie fame, which is right down the street, and then the actual town of Mystic itself, which is really fun to explore, and there are a lot of great hotels in the area as well. So Mystic Seaport, always fun to visit. Have you been there, Roy?
No, I've been by it several times, obviously, but no, I've never been there.
Well, and you mentioned you've been by it. I think everybody's seen the signs off the highway,
Right.
And so it's close to the highway. It's only about 45 minutes from Providence, probably only about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes from here. And if you're a Foxwoods fan, it's not far from Foxwoods, so you can go gamble in the morning and visit the aquarium in the afternoon, or vice versa. But lots of great research also going on at Mystic Aquarium. They have a great internship program. My son actually went to high school with a young woman who works there, and she's loving it. She was a marine biology major. You see the Ocean Exploration Center there, just one of many great attractions in Mystic Aquarium. So again, these are not just places to visit. These are great learning experiences for everybody in the family and for your kids.
I think before we run out of time, because it's starting to come to closing time, I'd like to see the one of the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. This is a must-see.
Yeah.
And hold on to your seats when you're watching it.
Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution.
Go down. Can we point her away from the boat? Hey, Rod! Hey, Rod!
I wouldn't want to see him while I was swimming.
No, I don't blame you. Get ready.
Well, hungry for a snack, I guess. Not much of a snack.
Kind of disappointed.
Wow, incredible video.
Unbelievable.
Some impressive teeth there.
Unbelievable. That's a National Geographic special there. They do hunt the seals from down below. They come up and they surprise them and they become a meal.
So very up close and personal. The zoos are nice because there's a little bit of an enclosure there in most cases and some glass between you and the animal. I wouldn't want to get that up close and personal with a shark.
No,
that's
I don't blame you at all. Okay, we're running out of time. Before we sign off, I'd like to again thank Mike Hammond, Dave Young, Jeff Pickett, CJ Mullen, Gina Coe, Leo McGowan, the whole staff, everybody that's involved with putting on this show. Today was especially difficult because there was an awful lot of preparation that went into it, and my heartfelt thanks to everybody for doing what they did. And Mary, it's a pleasure to have you again with us.
Great to see you, Roy, and I'm going to head out to one of these zoos that we've looked at today.
I still think you ought to have Mary's tours.
My next courier.
There you go. Well, thank you very much for watching. We're going to end with a little bit of video of kids in the zoo.
Terrific.
There he is. Oh my gosh. That is.
What is he doing? Don't put your tongue on it for real, okay?
Oh wow, he's really playing. I can't fight. Oh, that's cute.
She's trying to chase you there. Look at it.
Look at that. Buddy.
He's rubbing. He's not hungry. Oh no. Poor Case.
Okay, here comes the crazy monkey.
Oh my God.
Mason, do your turn. Turn that way. Okay, stop, Mason. Turn around. Go the other way.
Mason.
Yeah, you get in.
Oh, dear God.
It's okay, no.
Oh. He's actually swallowing. He swallows like he actually ate some.
Dude wants that apple in a worse way. That is a shame. Oh my gosh. Alright, stop. That's just mean now.
Oh.
Poor guy.
Grace. Greasy, look at mommy.